Hey, this is Luis with Super to Buy. So basically I'm going to present this problem first, and I'm going to present the solution to this problem. This is a fan for our dehydrator, commercial dehydrator. What we've been noticing on the older versions of these is that they sometimes tend to go out. So this is plugged in already, everything to go. I would press on, turn on the timer and then set the temperature. But as you can see, nothing's happening, okay? Reason for that is that there's a reset switch in there. This is like temperature control. If this gets overheated, then this would trigger itself. So that's what's happening here. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna replace this piece here and relocate it to a different location so it won't happen again, okay? This problem does not happen on the newer versions of our dehydrators. This is only for like older versions, okay? Alright, so first thing we're gonna do is remove the screen from here. And that requires the Phillips screwdriver, and there's 4 of them. Alright, so the fan's off. I dropped a few screws here, but just make sure not to lose them. Okay. Alright, so there's a few other screws we're going to have to take off. We're going to have to lift this. Alright, so the other screws that we're taking off next are this one and this one. And what this is going to do is basically loosen up the protective cover that's over on the other side here. Okay. Alright, so next thing we're going to do, we're going to grab an L key. This is not included anywhere with this kit, so you're going to have to find your own. I'm not exactly sure on what size it is. I just grabbed a random one. It happens to fit my fan. So, we're going to go ahead and take off the fan. Don't have to take off the screw all the way, you just have to loosen it up. Right, so we have the fan removed. Next thing we're gonna do is we're actually gonna grab this and bend it outwards this way so it gets out of our way. So just bend it up. Just want to make it as straight as you can. So now the part that we're going to remove is actually in here. Alright, so this is the switch here, and this is the actual part. There's limited space in there, so just keep that in mind. We're going to grab a needle nose plier, and we're going to try to loosen this first screw up here. Alright, once you give it a few tugs with the pliers, should loosen up. You should be able to take it off with your fingers. Alright, so that's the first one here. Alright, so we already took off the fan. We bent this backwards, so before we even touch any of the internals here, you want to unplug the machine from the power, which I already did. Okay, we're going to grab a set of needle nose pliers. We're going to take out this small screw that's in here. Alright, and this is basically the part we're going to remove, the small part that's in here. There's 2 cables plugged into each side, one on each side. And there's also 2 screws, one on each side. So we're going to take this one off first. And most of the time, all you have to do is loosen it up a bit, and it should fit loose. So I have to turn around so I can get a better angle at this. So this is deeper in there. So what I would suggest you do for this one is grab a screwdriver, stick it on this side here. Because if you try to use needle nose pliers, actually it wouldn't work. So once you grip the actual screw itself, just spin it a few times to loosen up the screw for you, and then push this inward. So this way it'll be easier for you to actually remove the whole screw. Alright, so this is the next step here. You're going to remove the piece. Alright, so we took the piece off. What we're going to do is replace it with the new piece. As I mentioned earlier in the video, there's going to be a relocation of the part itself. So what we're going to do is, you see this gap here? We're going to actually install this piece here. So the prongs are going to be, the connectors are going to be facing out. And this section should actually be popping up as you see it here, where the RU is kind of pointing that way. So let's give it a try. So there's 2 ways to do this. You can either plug it in before you put it up here, or you can set it up and plug it in, but I think it's easier just doing it this way. Alright, so red cable will go here, and black cable will be next to it. Alright, so just for reference, black, red, and this is where it's kind of hard to see, but you see where the lettering is. There we go. Right, so black, blue, red. There we go. So we're going to go ahead and install this now. Alright, so the reason we're going to relocate it here is actually going to catch less heat as if it was on the other side where it originally was. This should prevent it from actually stopping. We got our cables connected, and we're gonna install a new piece in a new location. Alright, so we're gonna have to tighten it with our hands. If you want to tighten it with a screwdriver and the needle nose pliers, you can. So I'm not gonna do that now. Perfect. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're going to actually make sure that none of this is in the way, first of all. It doesn't appear like it is. We're going to pick this up, and this part is kind of tricky. So what I would suggest you do is you might as well grab your screws now. I've taped them up here so I won't lose them. Alright, so we're going to grab the 2 screws that go on the back section here. let's measure, make sure I got the right screws. Yes, I do. So we're gonna pick this up. We're gonna kind of bend this backwards. We're gonna match this small hole on the hole that's in the back here, so we could put the screw back on there. You have to make sure that this is as flat as possible, because you also have to remember that the fan's gonna go on top of it, and you don't want it hitting this here. So let's try this. So once you line it up on the hole here, just screw it on with our hand. It's kind of tricky. You might want to get someone to help you out with this here. It's hard for me enough to do it on my own. There we go. After a few tries, I was able to get it in there. We're going to screw this on. Okay, I already had this one on here, but I wanted to show you guys in the video. Alright. So relocation is successful. What we're going to do now, we're going to attach the fan first. And we're going to test it out before we put final pieces on it. So you want to spin the fan, make sure that this platform is not touching any part of the fan at all. Alright, just grab the L key and go ahead and tighten this back up. Perfect. Before we put the screen back on, we're going to plug it in and we're going to see how it goes. Hopefully it works. Okay, so it's plugged in. Timer's off, temperature's off, so let's turn it on. Beautiful, that's what I want to see. So you know what modifications you have to do if you have one of these. We do have these cards for sale, so if you want any of these, just let us know. For the most part though, we did make this video for our customers.